Welcome to Mission Undercover. Joining me today is Tom Joseph, leader of the Main Street Party in the USA. We are going to be discussing corporate capture and influence in politics, what we can do to solve this issue, and the latest actions of the Trump administration and who's really behind the global turmoil that we see today. I want to start by looking broadly at the state of politics today. What is the reason that the two-party system seems to be so entrenched in the USA, whereas here in the UK, we are seeing a fragmenting of the political order with smaller parties gaining unprecedented support?
Yeah, I think what's really wrong with the US system is how money determines representation. We have a primary system that is basically fixed, that the representatives that they're elected come into kind of a playoff system that they're almost guaranteed to win. And then they go into an election where their party is so dominant that there's really no competition. And because of that, there's really no accountability.
What role do you think corporate lobbying plays in our politics? How much of our political decision making is actually independent of these outside interests?
Well, I think corporate money, I think any big money, it's not just corporate money, it's wealthy people who basically write checks to make sure that the incumbents of their party get reelected. And because of that, our system is very unfair.
What responses do you see for this problem? The main three things I advocate for are decentralization and direct democracy, through citizens' assemblies to give power back to communities and root decision making in the priorities of real people. Political reform by capping political donations and reforming elections, because here in the UK, we have first past the post, which actually doesn't give a voice to a lot of voters. And then finally, media reform. The last one is so crucial because corporate owned media distorts public discourse so heavily and it distorts political priorities as well. This means that we have to have criminal accountability for media lies and stronger
Right.
regulation of media market ownership as well. What do you think that we should do alongside that, or if these solutions are actually viable?
The approach we're taking is very different. I mean, we're more or less saying that we don't think that the members of both parties will fix the system. They will not improve the system because it works for them. So what I've done is I've looked at the laws and figured out that we can use a political party to create another primary system, one that is completely fair, and then one that operates without any money. You know, if you think about it, there's lots of things that we do online that are competitions that don't involve any money. So why can't we do that in choosing our representatives? So what we're doing is creating an app and a portal and a contest where anybody can run for office. And we're making it a contest where the people choose the representatives and they winnow the field down to the representative who best represents them. And we feel that taking money out of the system is a way to make it completely fair and neutralize the voice of big money.
Does that mean like no fundraising at all? So what do political parties spend on?
So, yes, there is a law in the United States that once people start spending money on running for office, that they have to form a political committee. And once they do that, they become beholden to donors because now they're in a game that involves advertising. And what we're doing is saying that, hey, we're going to create a contest that will operate online. We'll use what in the United States is called a super PAC, another type of political entity that can spend money in any way it pretty much wants to advertise for this contest. And we'll run this contest in parallel with our primary, which is kind of like a preliminary election. And then our winner will face the winner of the public primary, which is typically the same person over and over again. And so we feel that if the people pick a representative, that they'll, in the general election, choose that representative over the representative that the party has picked.
So, do you think that state funding of political parties is a good solution for this? Because obviously, political campaigns need money, and often those are sourced from donations.
I want to get rid of political parties entirely. I think that the factions that our founders talked about really only need to operate within either Congress or Parliament, meaning that once representatives get to their legislative body, at that point they align ideologically into caucuses. And it's a very bad system when there's only two because it's us versus them. When you get into a multi-party democracy, it works much better because coalitions have to form and people compromise and negotiate to get things done. In a two-party system, it's just us versus them, and it just continues to escalate into a dysfunctional system, and that's where we are.
So, like a European style system like Germany, where there's multiple different parties representing multiple different interests, working together to form the government.
Exactly. But I think where it starts to go wrong, especially here, is that money determines who is the representative. So there's, 99% of the people are not in the game as far as being able to run for office. And that's not a fair system. That's not driving, it's not popular sovereignty. It's not driving decisions down to the people. And ultimately, governments need to get their power from the people. And when they operate too long without it, then there's real dysfunction. And we're experiencing that in the United States.
Okay. I want to move on to what you think about the economy and how we can reform that as well. For many years and many decades, we've been trapped in this neoliberal orthodoxy that has provided the distorted political system that we have today. But we have to go further than just political reform, because without reforming the economy and the tax system as well, we can't remove these distortions in society. We need a fairer tax system that doesn't favor extreme wealth. We need limits on extreme wealth to stop the pernicious effects that it creates. We need tax cuts for working people, not tax cuts for billionaires. But most importantly, we need to recognize that governments actually can't run out of money, and that the deficit is not as big a problem as it is construed in the media. That we can invest in anything that we wish to invest in as long as we have the resources to do so and it is within the constraints of inflation. What new way can we provide for our economic system?
Well, I am not really trying to tackle economic solutions. I believe that if we do have a more representative government, that the tax system will be fair. It's no coincidence that a government that's funded by the 1% favors the 1%. That is no accident. And I think that you can't get a fairer system until there's a fair way to get representation into the government. And we have an enormous problem here with that.
What role do you think think tanks play in the political system?
God, I wish they played no role. I think they can obviously provide a lot of guidance and education. I think there might be an overemphasis of what happens in think tanks and in the media, and there's not enough that's happening from regular common sense people that are participating in government. We do not really have a representative government here in the United States.
What do you think of the Trump administration? Is it eroding democracy?
I could go on and on. I want to try to stay neutral in this political effort that I'm doing. I think obviously I'm not happy with how things are going, or I wouldn't be doing this. There are many things that are occurring within this administration that are problematic. Donald Trump is not somebody I voted for.
What role do you think lobbying played in the geopolitical events of the last few weeks? How can the influence of lobbying groups like APAC that actually influence our foreign policy decisions be reduced?
I'm not sure if anybody had any influence. If you're talking about the war in Iran, I think that was a personal decision that Donald Trump made. I don't think anybody saw that coming. I don't know if there's a lot of logic or thought put into that decision.
Okay, thanks so much for your time. Thank you everyone for watching and listening. If you like this, make sure to subscribe on YouTube and follow on your favorite podcast platform. This has been Mission Undercover, and I hope to see you all next time.
Thank you.